I love Star Wars. You would have to run in and be like, we're with the Resistance, we're here to rescue you, like follow me. The blue milk tastes so good. A lot of the cast there prefers First Order. Funny to see them like be bad guys and then like know them.
Galaxy's Edge is one of the coolest locations to go as a guest in Disney World, but have you ever wondered what it's like to actually work in Galaxy's Edge? Today, I'm gonna sit down with my friend Christina and she's gonna tell us all about her experience working in Galaxy's Edge, and I'm so excited to hear all about it. Hello everybody, so we are here with Christina and she is going to tell us all about her experience working in Galaxy's Edge. I know we're all freaking out to know about this because it's just one of the coolest locations. Christina works there on her college program. Christina, why don't you tell the people where you worked in Galaxy's Edge and your Instagram as well.
Okay, so I worked at this little attraction called Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Yeah, I worked there at the end of 2021 into summer 2022, so about 10 months. My Instagram is Christy, 2 Ys, 2 underscores D.
So Christina, would you describe yourself as a Star Wars fan or no?
Absolutely yes. I love Star Wars. I got into it probably like when I was a senior in high school, like watched all the movies and then was super excited when Galaxy's Edge was being built. Would have never thought that I would be working there one day. I love Star Wars.
What was your reaction when you found out that you got that role?
Originally, I had wanted, again, if you remember from the last video, I wanted pirates, but I was like, if I don't get pirates, I really want to work in Galaxy's Edge. And it's funny because I really wanted to work at Smuggler's Run. I did not want to work at Rise because I was like, this ride is going to be crazy. It's like the most popular attraction in the parks right now. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And I had only been on it once, so I like didn't really know anything about it. So I was like, I just want to work at Smugs. And that did not happen. I was so excited because I saw on my itinerary that I was going to be at Galaxy's Edge. And then when I found out, like once I was down there, that it was Rise, there was a small part of me that I was like, yay. And then I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to work there. But then like once I started training, like it was a blast. So one of the most fun jobs I've ever had for sure.
Did you notice any differences with like the people who worked the light side and the dark side and like their experiences, and which side did you work on?
On my college program at the time, CPs only worked on the light side or the resistance side. But as soon as I left, they started training CPs for First Order or the dark side, which was like kind of a letdown because we all wanted to have a chance to be a bad guy. I guess I'll just have to go back.
Did anyone get to do both, and did people prefer one or the other?
Part-timers and full-timers got trained off the bat with both. Not really off the bat, actually. They got trained after a certain amount of time working at the attraction. They would get trained in First Order. A lot of the cast there prefers First Order. Not really sure why, because Resistance is amazing. You get to do a lot more. I mean, we all got along. Everyone was really great. It's not like the cast members who worked First Order were like mean and horrible people. Like it was actually kind of funny to see them like be bad guys and then like know them as like their friend and be like, you're not like scary.
Yeah.
Or just see them backstage and they like come off stage being so serious and be like, hey, like how's your day going? Obviously we're not all professional actors, but some of them just like were so good at like putting on the show for the guests. And same with Resistance. So
What are all like the rotations that you would do when you were on this ride?
there were 4 different rotations over at Rise. At the time that I worked there, I don't think they do this anymore, which is really sad, but they were themed positions. So instead of it saying like greeter, like you'd be recruiting officer. So it was like kind of themed after like Star Wars. So each rotation had, I would say like between like 7 and 9 positions on it that you would go to every 45 minutes. We had a lot of positions. Because we had like so many different load areas and unload areas. Rise is a huge attraction, so it takes place within like 3 different show buildings. So, you know, to divide up all those positions then across 4 rotations, it's just, I guess, like the easiest way.
The fact that there's like all those different pre-shows to the ride. So yeah, that's interesting. So what was your favorite spot to be in?
I have 2, because when I first started working there, the best one was when it was called Commander, and that was when you were in the load area and the breakaway door would open and you would have to run in and be like, we're with the Resistance, we're here to rescue you, like follow me. And that was like just such an incredible, like straight out of Star Wars moment that we got to do all the time. And the guests, like a lot of them, it was their first time on the ride since it was so new. And they would see the wall open and you would run in and they'd just be like shocked with the music and like the cast members and like the fact that there's a ride vehicle there. It was just so fun. So I love that position. And then if you had extra time, like you could spiel even further to the guests, like telling them about the little droid up front, R5, how he was going to get them out of there and like look out for the First Order, all this stuff. I also really loved Merge, like a lot with like numbers and like making sure you had the right amount of guests that you were going to send into the next room. You have to pick from both sides of like lightning lane and the standby line. So it was a position that moved really fast. It was stressful at first when lightning lane first started, but once you got the like gist of it, it was really fun.
How about your like least favorite spot to be in?
Forever will be queue assist, which is when we had to stand in the line and bring guests to the exit or the restroom. A lot of the like queue assist positions at that attraction are in very awkward spots. So that was a reason I didn't like it, because you would kind of be like behind the guests sometimes. So like you would scare them essentially, like if they didn't know a person was going to be back there. So it was a little awkward. And you're kind of just like standing there doing nothing. So a lot of times to make it go faster, I would try to like talk to each family that was like stopped near me. I think only Rise and Flight of Passage have those positions.
Tell me about like the costumes and the hair for everyone working in Galaxy Edge.
So the Resistance costume is literally amazing. It's like all different shades of brown. And then you have a nice little like Resistance vest that goes over it with like a little like fake radio and like your name tag, of course, has like amazing pockets. You could fit so many things in that costume. You have like a really cool like themed rain gear. It looks like things that they wore in episode 6 in Return of the Jedi. So that was pretty cool because people would come up to us and they'd ask, like, can I buy this in the parks? Like, this looks awesome. That and the vest, like a lot of people, like a lot of guests asked me like if they could purchase that. And Disney did start selling like our costume shirts like right outside the attraction. They're like a little different, but I always wanted to buy one. And then First Order, their costumes also look straight out of the movie, just all black, and they had to wear like the hats that you see in Star Wars. There were a couple of cast members like at the time that I worked there who did like really cool Star Wars hair. I am a huge fan of Padme from Star Wars, so she was my inspiration, and I looked up a lot of her hairstyles and I would do a different hairstyle for work every day. And I had a lot of my coworkers like come up to me every day and like compliment my hair or be like, "Oh my gosh, like I love how you have different hair every day. Like it's so cool." So that was something that also just like made the job way more fun, was like before work, just being like, okay, like how am I going to wear my hair today?
Do you have anything about Galaxy's Edge that maybe most people wouldn't know?
Well, two things came to mind when you said that. Definitely like take time to go through the marketplace because it's really, really cool. There's a lot of details in there if you're a big Star Wars fan. And it's just cool to see like the snacks there. The blue milk tastes so good. One of my favorite little like things that I used to tell guests about in the marketplace, there's this little, it looks almost like a bench that has like not really like a point coming out of it, but like you'll recognize it like when you first enter the marketplace. But if you go there like with someone who's special to you, that's how it was explained to me, and like you go and you touch the, it's called like the spire, like you touch it together and you say like to the spire, that means that like you guys will come back like to that place together again. And I thought that was so cute. So if I saw people wearing like happily ever after buttons, I would always tell them to do that.
Speaking of like secrets and stuff, what's the best time to get in line for Rise of the Resistance?
Definitely not rope drop. I feel like a lot of people think like rope drop is the best time to ride any ride, and I feel like that's not the case because that's like what everyone's doing. And I have experience of that like from Rise and from Mine Train, and I just know like the lines get super crazy. Like unless you're really the first person, like you're still going to be waiting there a long time. I also feel like at night, especially at Rise, we had a tendency to like break down a lot. So a lot of people would wait until the end of the day. And then if we broke down, it was really unfortunate because like it could be your last day or like you weren't coming back to the park. And it was like, well, sorry, like we were open the rest of the day. So I feel like I don't have like a good specific time because Rise was so unpredictable.
What were the hours like at Rise of the Resistance?
Not great.
Yeah.
No, I worked some really late hours there, but I will tell you, like, I met some of my best friends like from working those late hours, and like you work like those like delusional hours like in the middle of the night together, and it's just like you just become best friends. But my shifts ranged anywhere from 6 to, I feel like I've worked a 14-hour there. I've definitely done a 13 and a half. So like it's a really like wide range of how long you would be there for. The good thing about Rise is that there are so many positions. So if you do have a long shift like that, like it will go pretty quickly actually, because there's so many positions and there's just so much going on all the time.
What were like your common irritations or difficulties working there?
If you get like the same position over and over again and you're like losing your voice and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to commander again where I have to like spiel, like, we're breaking you out, hurry. Like sometimes you just like don't have the energy. Like it's really hot. And then like you come inside and you're like, oh, like I just want to cool down and like sit down. But like now I have to do that. Physically demanding job because it's a huge attraction. There's a lot of walking. It's really hot. The costume has a lot of layers and like the long hours. Like sometimes like attractions is definitely repetitive, but at Rise, like we're really lucky that most positions you're working with another person. So as long as you like focus on making those friendships, like even if you've got the same position all day, like you could be working with your friends and it'll be a lot better.
Do you have any advice for someone who is about to work in Galaxy's Edge, whether it's Rise of the Resistance or Smuggler's Run?
If you get Galaxy's Edge and you're like, oh my God, I hate Star Wars, because I had a couple of friends who did not really like Star Wars or didn't know anything about it, just trust in the will of the Force and like it's gonna be okay. Galaxy's Edge was basically built for everyone, meaning like whether you're a super fan or whether you have no idea what's going on, like Disney still tries to immerse you in the story no matter what. So even if you're a cast member there and you don't know it or don't like it, you don't have to, because they don't require you to be like knowledgeable about Star Wars.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about this role?
Get into it as much as you can, just like to make the experience better for guests. Like the line is so long for this ride because it's so popular, and it's like a 20-minute experience for the guests, and like it's really only going to be good, and I could say this as a guest who has ridden the ride many times, if the cast members who are giving you that show like are like ready to give you a good show.
I love hearing about this. It's so interesting for me because I haven't really heard at length what your experience was like. Christina and I did another video about her experience in overall working attractions because she's actually worked at 3 different attractions on 3 different Disney college programs. So make sure to go check that video out if you haven't already. I'll link it down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a magical night, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye!